Hello, my name is Yvette Tovar. I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I am currently working as the Chief Development and Marketing Officer for a nonprofit organization called All Faiths Children's Advocacy Center. As the development officer, development incorporates really all aspects of fundraising for a nonprofit organization. So that can range from overseeing the grant writing that we do, whether it's to foundations, government grants, business grants, corporation grants. It also includes donor relations, and that means that we work diligently and every day to cultivate the relationship with folks who are interested in the mission of our organization, who have supported it for many years. Our organization was started in 1956. So this year we're celebrating 65 years of impact in the community. And so with that, we have some long-standing relationships, but we're also looking to cultivate relationships with new donors and new generations of men and women and community members for whom our mission resonates. So working in development within nonprofit organizations has meaning when you work for an organization whose mission means something to you personally. So there are many nonprofit organizations doing a lot of good work in the community, and they really range in what they're doing, right? From social justice to animal welfare, child welfare, environment, right? And so our organization is about child welfare and the vulnerability of children in this world, and how many times they do not have a voice to speak up for themselves or the tools to find their way out of the darkness from a trauma that they've experienced, either for many years or in a particular situation. So if you're going to work in a nonprofit organization, you need to have a personal interest in the work of that particular organization. So the skills that I use in the job regarding both development and marketing really have their roots in something that goes back quite a few years and that evolved over time. But it started actually with what I studied in graduate school, which was landscape architecture. And you might think, what does landscape architecture have to do with development and marketing? It's a good question. So as I came out of graduate school and I went to work for an architecture firm, I worked in that profession for a number of years, and I really loved that profession. And what I came to learn in that profession is that living in an arid climate in the state of New Mexico, we were indeed in a water crisis in this state. And I felt moved to try to do something about that. So in 2009, I no longer worked for the architecture firm, and I made a move to research and find out what that next step would be. And I started a nonprofit organization. So that was my entry in both into the nonprofit world, but it was really rooted in what I said earlier, a passion for a very particular mission. And the mission was rooted in solutions to the water crisis in New Mexico, that there were things that we could do and that it mattered. So as I worked through all of that, I learned more about marketing. In my background as landscape architecture, I knew how to use InDesign, Adobe InDesign, and the Adobe suite of design tools because I had to use them in graduate school for presentations. So a lot of what folks in landscape architecture do is produce presentation quality drawings for clients to visualize and to see what's going to happen as you propose street tree master plans, right? Or renderings of designs that you're proposing. So that was already something I had built upon in my graduate school experience. I now used it in terms of understanding how to look at things graphically, how to understand what was appealing, what did it matter to have on a website. And so when I was ready for a change, I started seeking out positions in development with other nonprofits. And so I have been at the agency I'm with right now for 3 years. I went to a college prep high school. So it was really focused on STEM classes, right? Math and science. In some ways, it was not a great fit for me because I was actually interested in things that had to do with art. And there was art offered. So what I did is I sort of augmented or filled in for my education, and I spent a lot of hours at the local library. And so I would just work my way through the books. And when I was in high school, my father gave me a Pentax K1000 fully manual camera, which is what I wanted, a fully manual camera, so that I could control all aspects of taking photos. And so that was food for my soul, and that's really what resonated for me. So as I graduated from high school, I went on to the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, and I decided that I was so passionate about, I just needed more. So I was a fine arts major, and it wasn't with the idea of what kind of job could I get coming out of college, which is what a lot of people were worried about. It was that I knew I needed to feed my soul with something that really resonated for who I was, and just my understanding of the world and what I really thirsted for more knowledge about. I would offer that you don't need to have it all figured out. I would also offer that perhaps one of the best things you could do for yourself is to try to stand in your truth and figure out what your truth is. What is it that you are interested in? Regardless of what folks around you might be saying you should be interested in, what resonates for you? What lights a fire in your belly? What ignites your passion? And if you're sitting here right now thinking, I have no idea what ignites my passion, that's okay too. Try out a couple things. It doesn't matter if it turns out you absolutely can't stand it. You will know more than you did when you started. And sometimes it is a process of elimination. And I would offer that you need to trust that you will find your way